And this is like a wide angle, so we can just talk right here. What's your name, first of all?
Gianna.
Gianna?
Yeah.
And Jeff. So.
Nice to meet you.
So yeah, what do you think about that?
So I'm not a very religious person, so I'm not very sure. I tend to think nothing really happens after, but I don't think I know that.
Right.
I
Hard
think
to be
anything
sure.
could really happen. Yeah. There's no good reason for me to say that's definite. So I'm open to other people's interpretations. I don't think that's so.
Now, did you grow up with a religious background of any sort?
No, not really. My mom was always like, I wish I kind of sent you to church and give you like a decision on it, but I never had any experience like in church or being taught any religion.
Yeah. Would you say you're at least knowledgeable of different like world religions?
A little bit.
I mean, growing up in America, of course, we are exposed to.
I have a lot of friends who are very religious and different views, and I have neighbors who
and kind of going along with what do you think happens? Do you think there is a God or a higher power? Like, what do you think about that?
I don't think so, but that's another thing where I'm not going to say I'm certain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So definitely, like, open to the idea.
Yeah. I'm not like, I don't pretend to have all the answers.
Right.
But I don't.
Which is wise.
Think so.
So I'm obviously I go to a church. I'm a Christian. I do have beliefs about that. But if I didn't, like my beliefs kind of came through personal experience. Mm-hmm. If I hadn't had that, I think the wisest course of action is what's called agnosticism, which actually means claiming ignorance. I want to say it's like in a positive way, like basically just saying, you know what, I don't know.
That's where I fall.
Yeah, and then within agnosticism, there's, as I talk to different people, I've noticed some will say, I don't know, and I'm okay with that. I would like to know, but and then others would say, I don't know and I don't care. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much. As you were.
So would you say you're in the I don't know but I'm curious camp, or I don't know but I don't care camp?
Kind of both. Like, it's like a light curiosity, but for me it's not pressing. Like, I feel comfortable not knowing.
Like, you're not taking steps to
my
like
day-to-day
pursue.
is pretty much the same either way. Like,
yeah.
So I feel I'm not like bothered by not being sure, but I think it's I like hearing people's opinions. Like, I think it's interesting to question.
Yeah. What's your impression of, I guess, Christianity? Of of all religions would be too big of a question, but do you have friends or people that you've known?
I grew up with like neighbors who are like very religious, and like I think it's a good thing in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. I feel like I don't identify. I've never felt like I've gone to church like a couple times for like services or like weddings and stuff, and I haven't really connected with it, but I think that it's very meaningful in their lives, like the people who I've been around, and I would never think that they shouldn't be doing that. Like, I see the ways it like fulfills them and makes them happy, and I think that's a great thing no matter what form it takes.
Yeah.
So I think like I support it. I just don't find myself like wanting to be part of it necessarily.
Yeah. If God does exist, and I'm talking about like, I'm not necessarily saying the Christian God or any kind of a God, but just the Creator God. Like as opposed to us being the creation.
Yeah.
How do you think you would know? Like what do you think would be for you, like, evidence, I guess?
Right. It's hard to say because I kind of feel like there is no real way to know what's going on for sure.
Right.
So I really don't know. I know some people will say like they could just tell like in a moment, like having an interaction with God or like a sign from God or something, but it's like I've never experienced anything that would make me feel that way, and so I can't say that they're making that up because they're having an experience that I'm not part of. So it's like, it's hard to say, for sure. I don't know if I'd ever see something and be like, I know for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if there's evidence that would make me feel that way. Like, if you have to just be like looking for that or open to that in a different way, I don't know. But,
right. Have you have you ever talked to anyone who's like shared like exactly like what they've experienced, that sort of
Not
thing?
really.
Or?
Like I've heard like really vague stories, but nothing that I'm like.
As I've asked different people this question, I get you can be sure I get like tons of different
Yeah.
ideas and beliefs.
Yeah, and I've been told stories by like family of like interesting things that have happened, like right as loved ones have passed away, that kind of feel like a sign from them. And so, and I believe them. I believe them that these things have happened, like in a way that's greater than like coincidence.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that even has to do with God or just like energy of people or what, you know. So it's like there's a lot of hard to explain things.
And there's, I don't know if you've seen like different videos, you know, like as far as like life after death, you know, like near-death experiences or
I've heard a couple
supernatural
stories about
experiences.
that, but again, it's hard to say whether that's like coming from within the person and their conscience and like the way the brain works, or whether it's an outward source. So it's really hard to say. Like, I don't really think there's anything wrong with coming to our own conclusions, you know? Like, I think it's fair to explain, to like come to explanations, and everyone's going to disagree. I don't think like I'm right or you're right or anything like that. I think it's just, it's like the only way to continue is to make a decision and like
I'll just tell you
going.
like how I deal with that is like, so I do have these strong beliefs, right? And I would say that I have faith because I can't like prove scientifically to anybody, you know. To me, it's proven just because of different things I've experienced, but I would say it's like a reasonable faith. And the reason I say reasonable is there's evidence. There's not. I look at the difference between evidence and proof. You know, like there's evidence that you know, like there's a body of evidence. And I realize there's evidence against, you know, God, you know, existing or a particular religion, you know. So there's like these factors, I guess, that are negative and these that are positive, and you kind of weigh them. And so the Bible actually says that we need to have faith. It actually pleases God that we would trust that He exists even though we can't prove it. But it doesn't say that we would have that trust like a blind, totally blind trust. Kind of like I talk to atheists and they'll say something like, well, like, you might as well just believe in a pink unicorn, you know, or something. And it's like, okay, well, but for that, there's no evidence.
There's none. It's more like meeting halfway, I feel like. Like half like reasons.
It's like just making up something that has no historical background. But, I mean, when you have, like, generations of Christians who have had, you know, these experiences and would say God exists, and then there's, you know, like the Bible itself, all the different books of the Bible that, you know, it's not just like one book, the Bible, but there's many different books and many different authors, and they're all attesting to it.
And many come to a lot of the same conclusions, even if there's differences about it, which is, I think, part of what makes me curious. It's less like people I've known of one religion being like, here's why. It's just like the similarities are definitely there across the world. So that definitely sparks some curiosity.
And one thing I'd like to encourage you to think about is if God exists, and I don't want to say if, I believe He did exist, but if God exists, this would be the creator of everything. And when you think about how big everything is, I'm talking the universe, you know, or how small everything is, like on the cellular level or, you know, atomic level, whatever. I mean, this would be the creator of all that, way beyond our ability to comprehend, right? And so if we're just depending on our own ability to figure out if God exists, I think we're always gonna come up short, you know. But if God reveals Himself to us, so in other words, we're not relying on our effort to figure God out, we're relying on God's effort to reveal Himself to us. Then that's called revelatory knowledge. It's not, you know, like man's effort to figure out knowledge is, I guess you'd say, scientific or modern knowledge, you know, based on experience or experiments, you know, that sort of thing. So it's kind of a, excuse me.
Sorry.
it's kind of a different way of approaching it. And so as a Christian, when I read the Bible, that's where I really feel like, it's like, of course I pray,
Right.
but how does God speak to me? Well, I've never heard him speak audibly.
Right.
I have felt very strong impressions, or I felt, different people say something, and it's like, whoa, I just really felt like that's, so there is that, but for the most part, it's when I read the Bible and I hear God speaking through his word, and that's what the Bible claims for itself, that it's God's word. It's hard to, like, I couldn't point to any one part of the Bible and say, okay,
like,
believe this
that type
verse.
of learning is really like self-based, like it's one person's experience, and so it's hard. It's like with science, you can be like, here it is, like everyone can understand like how we got to this
We
conclusion.
can run experiments.
Multiple people did it together, like whereas like that kind of proof, I think it's valuable like in a one person sense, but
experiential,
it won't work for like bringing to the world, being like,
No.
I felt this way, so it's like
Right.
obviously true.
I would encourage you though to actually, have you read the Bible much or
No.
at all? Yeah.
I like teeny excerpts just come up, but I've never like
and most people's opinion of the Bible is actually based on other people's opinions. It's like they haven't actually read it for themselves.
Yeah, like I wouldn't ever make a statement about the Bible just because I haven't read it.
Right. And I would say, like, just to give you a Christian's perspective, that's what really builds my faith. It's when I read the Bible and I see all these different books coming together and forming this story of God, of man kind of rebelling against God in the very beginning, and then different ways that God reaches out through a chosen people, and then through a Messiah, and then his followers. It's a story of redemption. And so there's like 66 different books in the Bible, and they're all kind of coming together to have this like big narrative that is a story of us having a right relationship with God. That a lot of people think, well, it's, Christianity is like this, I guess you'd say, boring religion, do these, go through these different steps.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I guess I try to encourage people to say, hey, it's more of a relationship than a religion.
Right.
There's religious aspects to it, but in the end, when all is said and done, it's God reaching out to man and helping us to have a right relationship with him. So I'd encourage you to read it, for yourself. Do you have a Bible?
No. But
you know what? My car just got ransacked, and I had a backpack full of different things with Bibles in it, and I give them out, but someone stole it.
The only time I read a little bit was like in a hotel once, because they keep them in the doors.
Right.
So I actually was bored and started to read it. It was interesting.
Yeah. I have a couple things.
It's valuable on a personal level. I think that's nicer, like you're saying, like the personal relationship to God and like your experience with that versus like, I don't know.
What? This might be good. This shows, like, it tells the basics of all the different religions of the world, and compares them to Christianity. And like if you haven't really like looked at all the religions, it might be helpful. So, this is my number. I'd love to talk more.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think religions are really interesting. So
and then I also want to give you this. We're part of, there's like hundreds of churches that are participating in this. It's a series of trying to answer the big questions of life. And so you just go to explore.god.com. But this is where I go to church. So there's one right in Bridgeport here. But you can have that too.
Thanks.
So and I also had these cards where you can like check out where I post the videos of conversations I have with people.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't think I have. Let me see if I have one more.
I'm definitely curious to see people's responses.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to replace my backpack that got stolen, and it's kind of a little process. Yeah, I have one card left. So that's the web address, and then has my church times on there and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
so
It's an interesting
it'll take me.
project.